to understand the lesson better. For example, I am teaching the chapter The Sun in Standard 2. If I explain the 2-3 pages chapter in one day, they might not understand or remember anything. The same things might be easy for the Standard 5 students to understand. So, according the lesson, I should plan how I proceed with the chapter. Now, if I am teaching small portion of the chapter, I should also know what activities and engagements I should bring for them during the rest of the time. Lesson plans help teachers be more effective in the classroom by providing a detailed outline to follow each class period. Now I am going to the next slide. Now I have the 12 components of the lesson plan on my screen. In some website, you may find 8 or 5 components. But I have tried to cover as many components as possible. Now teachers, I'd request you to take a quick glimpse of the components. You can take a minute and try to memorize as many components as possible, because we have an activity coming up next. Teachers, now you can see simple classroom here. Normal green board, and like every other physical class, that's we write the main points or any required information on the green board. Sorry. So more or less, we have this generalized way for the proceeding. So first, I will mention the date, that is 12th February 2022, today's date. Then I am going to classwork. Then I am going to chapter's name or topic. Then I move on the explanation part, where I might be explaining the subpart. I'll ask a few oral or written questions, and in the end, I'll give them some assignment or homework. Now teachers, can you find the components of the lesson plan in the picture? It's a very general image of a classroom to make the components relatable and easily understandable by doing this activity. So teachers, please, you can use the chat box to write any component you might have found in this picture. Teachers, I am waiting. You can share your opinion, your any component's name. Yes, Shubhra teacher, thank you. Thank you. Yes, topic and classwork homework, very good. Yes, Tumpa, activities, very good, Tumpa teacher. Yes, really, true. Other teachers, you can share, you can join the activity. Okay, thank you, teachers. Now I am just moving. I am showing the components, highlighting each parts. So just at first, I am showing you the, just a minute. I am showing you the date. That is the timeline. Then after I am going to the next topic, title. Then after classwork, objective. Uses of water, that is the plan, division of topic. Then after I am going to the question number 1, question number 2, planning. Become more focused and strategic. So planning is too much important. Then I'm going to the related requirements. Related requirements are national, state or school standard that dictate what you need to teach in a class. For example, the requirement can be a textbook, internet sources, videos, map, apparatus. This requirement should be based on the standard and the board. Example, if I am teaching map work in a particular class, I can carry a few copies of map that can be circulated in the class for the students to know what to do or get an example. Otherwise, if I have a wall map, I can use it. So, based on the availability and my convenience, I may choose the requirements. Next, I am going, that is lesson material. The list of materials that you need to teach the lesson and measure student outcomes. These are the materials that I need only for a particular lesson to engage the students and test their knowledge. For example, using mixed bag worksheet. That may be picture based or diagram based, activity sets, materials for project or activity. So these materials are focused only for the particular lesson or subtopic. Then I'm going to the lesson procedure. An in-depth explanation of how the lesson will progress in the classroom. This is the path that a teacher chooses to teach a particular topic in a specific class. For example, I start with the little warm-up session, revising the previous topic, and then coming to the explanation part. Then I am going to the assessment method measures whether your students learned the lesson's information and met your lesson objective. This is a very important key part of a lesson plan. I should always have some form of assessment, be it for 2 minutes or 10 minutes, to check the understanding of the students. It can be an activity, an oral or written assessment. Now, that is the last part of the lesson plan, that is the lesson reflection. The lesson reflection portion of a lesson plan encourages teachers to take notes on how to improve a lesson after it has been completed. So, after completion of a lesson, I should be able to reflect on the understanding of my students and think about ways to improve or change any procedure in the upcoming lesson that will be better for the student. Now I am moving to my next slide, that is profile. Profile consists of date, then after time, standard and subject. Date, title, standard are already essential components but can be put together to make a profile. So teachers, can you tell me what is the importance for profile? Teachers, you can share your opinion. Okay, no issues. I will continue my...
Yeah, we can explain everything according to the standard and the subject.
Yes. Thank you, Shraddha teacher. Yes, obviously, it is totally this is. I want to say that is because date, title, standard, and subject according to you is very, very important. Yes.
Yeah, that is according to the age and according to the standard. It is very essential to explain according to their age.
Yes, ma'am. Sure. Yes, Archana teacher. Yes, date and subject. Yes. Thank you. So, the profile is the founding brick of a lesson plan. We cannot design our plan or procedure without understand their things. Because I should know what I am teaching, at what level I am teaching, because chapter like water can be taught standard 2 students and standard 9 students as well. But the level makes a huge differences. I should also know my subject focus and the date because based on my personal timetable, I will know whether I am teaching in the first period or in the last period. Students might be very energetic in the first period and can be exhausted in the last period. These are little things but has a great effect in the teaching learning process. Now, I am just going to my next slide, that is objective. Objectives and learning outcomes. The next component that I am going to discuss about is objectives. Both objectives and learning outcomes can be framed together, and we know that any type of work is incomplete or unorganized when we do not set our goals. Objective, that learning outcomes, it will help us identify our goals and the expectations from teaching a particular lesson. Then I am going to the next slide, objectives. It includes the following points. Learning. Determine what you want students to learn and be able to do. Concept. Focus on the concept or skill which you intend to teach. Use of SMART technique. The full form of SMART is S means specific, M means measurable, A means attainable, R is result oriented, and T is time bound. This technique helps us to frame our objectives and set our goals according to these parameters. Now, my next slide is that learning outcome. Learning outcome is a solution to 4 problems which makes it really important to understand. The 4 problems or questions that can be answered through learning outcomes are: who is learning? That is the audience. Here, I need to understand the class and the students I am teaching, focusing on their level of understanding. Next, that what do we want learners to do? This answer helps us deal with the behavior. To answer this, I should be able to understand whether the students like more engaging activities or typical methods of reading or writing, if the students listen quietly, or do they get restless when listening from a long time. Understand what conditions will learners be assessed. This gives us the condition. When I take an assessment, be it any form, I should know whether they have understood only part of the lesson or have completed the lesson. Or is it a revision assessment or just an activity to engage the class and make it interesting? What level of performance we expect? This can be understood from the degree. The teacher should always know what do we expect from his or her student. If I am taking an analytical assessment, I might expect them to understand, at least write some keywords or points, but I might also expect them to have problems with framing the answer. So, when I evaluate, it's also an assessment for myself that how well have I understood the kids and the teaching learning process. These 4 points means audience, behavior, condition, and degree makes the ABCD of learning outcome, which we should always keep in mind. Now I'm going to my next slide, that is planning, that we can say foundation of a lesson plan. Now we come to the most important part or sections or component, that is planning. A profile is the founding brick of a lesson plan. Planning is the foundation or a building of a lesson plan. First, let's find out what are the effects that can be caused due to bad planning. At first, frustrations for the teacher and the student. If I take a class without planning or with an ill-structured plan, my students will be confused and uncertain about the lesson. And when the students do not perform as per the teacher's expectation, essential and affects this teacher-student relationship. Then, aimless wandering. As I already mentioned, having our objective set and clear is very much important. We should not take a class just explaining or teaching without knowing what outcomes are expected. No connection to prior learning. It is very important to maintain continuity while teaching a lesson. It might have divided the lesson into parts, but the flow should not break. Hence, one of the before the new topic is important. Ask questions, revise key points from previous class so the students can recapitulate and relate to the new content. Next, that is the disorganization. An organized planning is essential in any aspect. We should follow a pattern or format, proceed in an organized way. We cannot start planning classwork, homework, or assessment before setting objectives and learning outcomes. Each part should be short, crisp, and well defined. Then, lack of needed materials. Lack of needed materials. When we plan a lesson beforehand, we will be aware of the requirements and materials and can get sufficient time in arranging the same. Nevertheless, if we feel any material might not be available with me or with the students, I should look for the alternatives. Then waste of time. A bad planning results in topics, chapter being not covered on time or lead to having very less time to practice. And then after, poor management. Planning and implementation goes hand in hand. We should know how to manage completing our plans and achieving our objectives in this given timeline. Now, that is the good planning. When we know the risk and effects of a bad planning, understanding the advantage of a good planning, because it becomes very easy. These are some of the effects and uses of having a good lesson plan. First one, keeps the teacher and students on the track, achieve the objectives, help teachers to avoid unpleasant surprise, and then provides the roadmap and visuals in a logical sequence. Encourage reflection, refinement, and improvement. Then after, I can say at last, that is the enhancing students' achievement. Now I am moving my next slide. That is very important. That is the assessment. There are different forms of assessment that we can use to test the knowledge and understanding of our students. It will also help us teachers to have an idea of the strength, weakness of the students and help us work on it. We need to also ensure that these assessments are taken seriously and all students are engaged. Sometimes assessments can be serious and strictly followed, while sometimes it can be fun and interesting mood. Then after, I am going to the quizzes. Question answered at first. This is important for the practice purposes from examinations point of view. It can be one word, give reason, definitions, short and long answer, all types of questions as per the format. Then I can take quizzes. It is a game-based assessment that not only makes the class more fun and interesting, but also makes students curious and learn facts out of syllabus or book as well. Then after, worksheet. This can have analytically or activity based like word search, scrambled words, crossword, puzzles, picture based questions. Then after, experiments or activity. It helps us evaluate a student on how much he or she is able to apply his or her theoretical knowledge into the real world. It is very, very important because they are getting the knowledge from the theory, but they have to applying in their real world. And the last, that is the oral discussions. That helps in engaging students and understanding if a child is concentrating in the class or not. Now I am going to the next slide, that is the written word. It is one of the typical or classical component of teaching. It's an evergreen component that cannot be ignored. Only writing can ensure practice, and hence that is the essential components of lesson plan. That is applying what is learned, guided practice, teacher controlled, then independent practice. So now I'm going to the next, that is the cross curriculum. Now, this does not mean that we have to plan or teach other subjects as well. This is a process of touching upon or involving different curriculums that suits the subjects or topic. English language is one such subject that can be touched upon in any subject except Hindi or other languages, as we are using English as the medium, making it a part that will improve the way students write or communicate their answers. Let me give you few examples of cross curriculum. Science with SST social science. For example, we are teaching rocks and minerals in science. The formation of rocks, when we need to explain how from volcano eruptions, that is the cooling of lava, rocks are formed. Now to show what volcanoes are, and I can touch upon social science and also give it is the relations with the science. So we can easily say that science and social science are interrelated. Then real world examples of volcanoes. For example, that is the Mount Fuji in Japan, an active volcano. They can even watch these volcanoes eruptions. So science can also be used to teach some moral values, as they like conservation of water and methods to prevent pollution, making them a responsible and aware human. In senior classes, maths is an integral part of science used in equations and derivations. Now, then after, similarly, science can be be touched in English as well. Students can learn, write, and pronounce scientific terms like photosynthesis or ornithology. We can use social studies, especially history, for storytelling. It is used in the English reading also. In maths, we can use science, that environmental studies, and English. To understand what problems, English becomes an important part of it. Now, I am going to my next slide. That is the homework and technology. Homework, we all teachers are very much aware about this. We enforce that we learn during the day, give students extra time to practice, improve grades. And technology, that we are too much habituated, and nowadays students, they are also too much habituated with this apparatus, that apps, tools, platforms used to integrate in the classroom. Now I am going to the next one. That is the career skills. Through our lessons, we should always try to inculcate career skills in students, because without these skills, no matter how much knowledge one has on the subject matter, growth in career becomes very tough. Some of these skills are: number 1, problem solving skills; number 2, teamwork and collaboration skill. It is very important of this students for developing the career skills, and I think from the childhood they have to bring this collaboration skill. And number 3, that is the communication skills. Next, that is the leadership skill, initiative, then flexibility and adaptability, and then after interpersonal skills. These are all the aspects that I am showing here. All are very important for developing a student's career skills. So now I am just going to the next one. That is the differentiation. The efforts of teachers to respond variance among learners in the classroom. The first one is the content. What the student needs to learn, or how the student will get access to the information. Then process. Activities in which of the student engages in order to make sense of or master the content. Then after, products. Culminating projects that ask the students to rehearse, apply, and extend what he or she has learned in a unit. And then after, I can say learning environment, the way the classroom works and feels. Now I am going to my next slide. That is very important, 5E model. CBSE suggested 5E's model of writing lesson plan. I will explain each E in detail so that we can as well understand and work on it. Engage. To mentally engage students with an activity or question. It captures their interest, provides an opportunity for them to express what they know, the concept or skill being developed, and helps them to make connections between what they know and the new ideas. Student engagement. What the students does that it consists with this model. Shows interest in the topic by asking questions, such as, why did this happen? What do I already know about this? What can I find out about this? Then I'm going to explore. Students carry out hands-on activities in which they can explore the concept or skill. They grapple with the problem or phenomenon and describe it in their own words. This phase allows students to acquire a common set of experiences that they can use to help each other make sense of the new concept of skill. Student exploration. What the student does that is consistent with this model, using inquiry to explore and investigate to satisfy his or her curiosity about the chosen concept or topic. Thinks freely, but within the limits of the activity. Test predictions and hypotheses. Forms new predictions and hypotheses. Experiments with alternatives and discusses them with others. Records observations and ideas. Then I am going to the another one, that is the explanation or explain. Only after students have explored the concept or skill does the teacher provide the concept and terms used by the students to develop explanations for the phenomenon they have experienced. The significant aspect of this phase is that explanation follows experience. Explanation. What the student does that is consistent with this model. Uses various informational resources, group discussions, and teacher interactions to derive definition and explanations of the chosen concept. Explanations or explains possible solution or answers to others' explanations. Listens critically to others' explanations. Questions others' explanations. Listen to and tries to comprehend explanations the teacher offers. Refers to previous activities. Uses recorded observations in explanations. Then I am going to the next, that is elaborate. This phase provides opportunities for students to apply what they have learned to new situations and to develop a deeper understanding of the concept or greater use of the skill. It is important for students to discuss and compare the ideas with each other during this phase. Then after elaboration, what the student does that is consistent with this model, that is the make connections and sees relationships of the concept or topic in other content areas, forms expanded understanding of original concept or topics, make connections of concept topic to real world situation. Then I am coming to the evaluate. The final phase provide an opportunity for students to review and reflect on their own learning and new understanding skills. It is also when students provide evidence for changes to their understanding, beliefs, and skills. Evaluation. What the student does that is consistent with this model. Answers open-ended questions by using observation, evidence, and previously accepted explanations. Demonstrates an understanding or knowledge of the concept or skill. Evaluate his or her own progress and knowledge. Uses alternative assessment to demonstrate their understanding of the concept or topic. Now I am going for giving thanks to you. So I hope
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Very good presentation, ma'am.
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sumita, good presentation.
Thank you, thank you.
Sumita teacher, it was very wonderful.
Thank you, ma'am.
And well also.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Shashikala
Very nice
teacher.
session, ma'am.
So, thank you, ma'am. Everyone, I am giving thanks. Sujata ma'am, Rupasri ma'am, ma'am Maiti Rahman sir, then after Shalini ma'am, Nita ma'am, Bina ma'am, Varsha ma'am, Archana ma'am, Shubhra ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Varsha ma'am is, if I have missed anyone's name, please. Maushami, Arun sir, Sunita ma'am. If I have Manali ma'am, Arun sir, Marvin sir, thank you, Sarita ma'am. If I missed anyone's name, please pardon me. Sudha ma'am, thank you. Thank you, Rita ma'am.
Sumita ma'am, super session.
Thank you.
नहीं मेरा तो डिस्कनेक्ट